Discovery was one of the very first schools to do the EAL quality mark and get the gold award some 4 years ago. So I'm delighted they can be with us, as they were kind of with us at the start of this process, really. But it's the same question, kind of, why did you want to do it? What did you get out of it? And can you tell us about how you make sure new staff know what to do?
So our journey started about 6 years ago when I became an EAL lead. And then we had a huge influx of EAL children, especially from Eastern Europe. And they were most of them new to English. And at that point, we didn't know a lot about EAL. Our teachers were not ready to welcome those children. So we had to think carefully how to find support and ideas to meet the needs of those children. And luckily during that time, Michelle joined our school and we had a very strong SLT team and we invested lots of time to transform our EAL provision. We attended numerous EAL courses led by EAL Academy. We did in-class coaching. And I think we have completely transformed our school ethos in terms of EAL children.
Absolutely. And I think one of the important things that Asta has already mentioned was actually the change of senior staff. When I arrived, I think Asta had been working with staff and with the school for about 12 months, but was becoming slightly frustrated that despite all of the CPD that was going into some of the staff meetings and training, it wasn't recognised as a priority. So Asta and I sat down, rewrote the whole school improvement plan alongside the other new senior leadership team. And basically that's when the journey really started. So the next slide, Graham, please. Which basically culminated in April 2017 when Discovery Primary School at that point was awarded the Gold Award. So very rapidly, with the support from the senior leadership team and through a complete change of focus in terms of the school improvement plan, we totally embarked upon this journey, and every teacher at Discovery Primary Academy, which we are now, is expected to be an EAL teacher. And what has been interesting, Graham, for Asta and myself sitting and listening is that it's fantastic that we also do many of those things that other people have shared, but we are at a point now in April 21 where we don't have to quite do the CPD training. We don't have to keep reminding people because it is very much embedded into the academy, and the expectation is that every adult meets the needs of all children, which probably takes me on a couple of slides, Graham, if you don't mind. So I think one of the things you wanted us to focus on, and again, I know that it has been mentioned, was the information and the process by which new children start at DPA, because we then became Discovery Primary Academy, which again gave us that extra incentive to continue to improve on the work that we were doing. So Asta's briefly going to go through the things we do now for our new arrivals.
Okay, so I think it has been mentioned before about admission interviews. So after that, when we have a child arriving at school, we're meeting a child in person a bit later in the morning when everybody else comes in. We provide the support until they feel settled. I'm Lithuanian. We also have a bilingual assistant that speaks more than one language, so that is really helpful. We have created the buddy system at school. We do initial assessment because it's part of our everyday practice in terms of SFA, which is very helpful for them to be in the right group. We also have set age differentiated targets, so we build up their English language skills. We do carry out first language assessment if we think there is a need for that. We have also do DPA citizen induction certificates. So when they settle down, we give them a certificate, we write the parents, and we also review how the family sees the settling down process alongside the child. We do lunchtime homework club and reading club, different events across the school. We have a lovely group of language ambassadors who help out each other, and they help the teachers and the staff with translating. And I think one thing that you asked Graham to talk about was new staff. How do we share that information? How we prepare them to be part of DPA, EAL, to follow that approach. So every new teacher is allocated time to spend with me, and then I carry out a short session about our expectations in terms of planning, teaching. So I create a short phonics session in Lithuanian to emphasize why visuals are important, just to put them in those shoes of EAL children. I have created an EAL induction handbook that they can take away and read about what we do at our school. And then we provide continuous support. We do staff meetings. Michelle and I monitor the books, the planning, we provide feedback and give support if it's needed.
If you move on to the next slide, I think, Graham. Thank you. So as Asta said, the induction process does start in September, or before September actually, if staff can start to attend the academy, and then it builds up over the course of the year with the expectation, as we've said at the beginning, that every teacher is an EAL teacher. We obviously put in very similar support strategies for children, which again, lots of you have already mentioned before, but I think the biggest thing that has really supported us was taking on the initiative of Success for All. Success for All is a language program, which is a 90-minute program, during which the children are taught phonics, they read, they're taught to read, they do shared books, they take the books home once they're successful readers with that particular book. They do comprehension, so that you know that they've got the understanding behind what they're reading. Vocabulary plays a huge part of Success for All. And they go on then to take their reading and their experiences, because like many schools have already mentioned, our children have very limited experiences when they arrive with us. So we do it through real books, which is all in Success for All. They have those experiences and then they take that into writing. But the biggest benefit is that the children are grouped according to reading ability. So our EAL children, when they arrive, are assessed and then they are allocated to the most appropriate group at that point. They're assessed every 6 weeks. So once they start to make progress, then they can move groups to a more appropriate group. And we have had some EAL children who have come in, for example, in year 4, have arrived in the country with no English, certainly cannot read English or write English, but by the end of year 6 are leaving the academy at the expected level in reading and maths, and just below expected in writing. So it is a very successful programme, and we do feel it meets the needs of our children, particularly with the mobility issues that we have in Peterborough. We've recently taken on a new programme, which again is part of Success for All, which is a half-an-hour reading programme, which is supported by an adult, uses very similar strategies. And again, that is picking up those children who are not quite where they need to be with reading, taking them through that process and rewarding them every step of the way. So that has made a huge difference to our children and to the way that they very quickly, if they are able to take on, learn English and then use English and then develop it as they go up through the academy.
And I think for us, the EAL quality mark, it was lovely to be recognised for all the hard work. I think for myself personally, it was probably the reassurance that we had been doing the right things for those children, that we welcomed them, they feel happy at our school. I think just knowing that I have put the right things with the support of my team. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. One of the fascinating things about that for me is you got the gold award and you didn't stand still.
No.
Just keep going, constantly trying to make it better. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Absolute pleasure, Graham. And one of the things we would like to say actually is that whenever we can, and perhaps we're, you know, in a slightly better place in terms of the current pandemic, we'd love to invite you back, because I think you would really notice the difference between that initial training, quite intense for staff, to where people are now, which is this natural expectation that they meet the needs of their children.
Okay. I'll definitely come.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you sometime in the summer term, I hope.
Hopefully.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.